Hello everyone, thanks very much for inviting me to speak to you. I'm really sorry that I can't be there in person, but I hope you find this video useful and I wish you all the best in your discussions. The era of the Millennium Development Goals is coming to an end, and we're edging conference by expensive conference, report by inevitable report, ever closer to that hallowed and exciting post-2015 era. In this short film, I'm going to try and explain why I think that despite all the guff, all the soon-to-be broken promises that haven't been made yet, this 2015 process matters, and how it will reshape the way we work together as an international community. When the morning of the 1st of January 2016 finally arrives, nothing will have changed. Let's not get too excited about the post-2015 world. The MDGs have been criticised by some for focusing too much on X, by others for not focusing enough on Y. Fine. But in my view, they still represent one of the greatest ever expressions of our common humanity. Nevertheless, though written only a few years ago, they seem to have been conceived in a different era, at the tail end of the 20th century settlement which saw the emergence of development aid, but which has come to an end far faster than most people anticipated. Aid thinking is now perilously close to being overtaken by events, and even the term development is outdated, implying as it does a post-colonial us and them mentality. In my view, the post-2015 framework could signal three mega shifts in the way we think about development. First, the inexorable realisation of our planet's resource constraints and the need for sustainability. Second, the profound universality of our global ambitions, the need to move on from dividing countries into categories and embedding a new, less patronising way of thinking. And third, the call, ever clearer, for equality in the face of indignity, marginalisation and poverty, and backed up by the evidence. The global economy operates within natural limits, and our model of development is jeopardising the welfare of future generations without even meeting the needs of the present. Oceans, forests, food security, energy, and of course climate change, all of these are crucially important issues. The problem now is no longer located in poor countries, poverty, but in all countries, especially the richer ones. Unsustainable consumption. Having quietly transformed development and economic thinking over the last 3 decades, the concept of sustainable development is set to become the dominant development framework, replacing or rebalancing the tight poverty eradication focus of the MDGs, and placing the environment front and centre. In this framework, it's the richer countries that need to change, to alter their resource use, with an increasing burden of responsibility on emerging economies, such as Colombia. The arrogant way in which the wealthier countries have declared themselves developed is over. We all need to fundamentally alter the structure of our economies. We're all developing now. Which brings me on to it's impossible to exaggerate the importance of the shift in the geography of power currently underway. The status quo has changed forever. The BRICS are being joined by other countries as the future motors of the global economy. And the financial crash in many of the traditionally powerful countries, while temporary, has only served to underline this permanent rejuggling of power. As countries, including some of the poorest ones, expand their domestic revenue bases, they become less dependent on foreign partners. Larger emerging economies are looking for opportunities to invest their money abroad, giving poorer countries more options and thus more power. the Western domination of global trade rules and the financial system will come to an end. And the intellectual hubris with which some countries promoted an ultra-liberal approach to the division of labour between public and private sectors has collapsed, heralding a new era of policy space, of common sense. Countries no longer want to be the US. They're not even looking to Scandinavia. Rather, they're interested in Brazil, China, Vietnam, Ghana, for clues about how to develop in the modern world. It's time to put aside these tedious divisions between first and third, north and south, developed and developing. And while the MDGs only applied to poor countries, after 2015 all countries should have development objectives to meet. One world, one set of global goals. And while we allowed the MDGs to focus too much on aid as the contribution of rich countries, a little bit of cash to help out, we won't make that mistake again. This time, it's intellectual property rights, fairer trade, peace and security, CO2 emissions, financial stability, a range of issues that will bring an enabling environment for sustainable human development. The last 20 years have seen a very steep decline in extreme income poverty, even in some of the world's poorest countries, due to a combination of economic growth and social policies. And in the next 2 decades, we could see the eradication of extreme income poverty, which would be a great step forward for humanity. But I'm becoming increasingly worried by the reaction of some parts of the development industry who have it appears, very stingy understanding of poverty, as if a family emerging from utter destitution and now only very, 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 very poor and insecure is out of the woods, or a country that is described as middle income, an entirely arbitrary designation, no longer requires international cooperation and support. I think we should be working towards a situation where people the world over enjoy living standards on a par with the world's wealthiest countries, equality or near enough. One of the main messages from research on the MDGs was that while there was progress in many areas, albeit not fast enough, inequality has been rising, whether that be income inequality or gender, ethnic and geographic inequalities. And more research shows that a situation of inequality can undermine growth and poverty reduction. In fact, we won't be able to eradicate extreme poverty unless we deal with inequality. The maths just don't add up. We haven't got enough planets. So if we're going to take advantage of the post-2015 opportunity and really live up to our ambitions for a better world, we need to unlearn our belief in growth at all costs and focus on fairness. 3 words: sustainability, universality and equality. Like the French Revolution, but without the guillotine. The ruinous failure to integrate the environment into development theory. The absurd conceptualization of countries as either developing or developed. The self-serving attempt to relegate the distribution of wealth to an afterthought. All consigned, please God, to the dustbin of history. We're not there yet, and believe me, any number of declarations won't make it so, however much fanfare there is. But the world is changing, and we have to make sure it's changing for the better. One of the dangers we face in this new world is that countries are vying for position and advantage. Poor people could be left behind as their communities become the economic battleground for powerful countries, people and companies, all looking for long-term investments in land and resources. The historic struggle for human dignity continues, post-2015, post-2030, fighting for what we believe in, holding the powerful to account. And I think we're in as good a position as ever to work together for our common purpose. Thanks for watching, and very good luck with all your work.